Hey beauties, morning to you. Morning, good morning. All right, beautiful people. I noticed there is something trending as it relates to Kim Burrell and the comment that she made at some sort of a service, a church service or whatever it is. I know Kim Burrell has been known to be one who speaks her mind, and maybe it's taken the wrong way because the reality is none of us are perfect, and maybe Kim wants to always remain, sometimes wanting to remain authentic. I'm saying maybe I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. Wanting to remain authentic can become offensive, because if you're going to remain authentic, it means therefore that you're going to, you're going to be very candid, you're going to be vulnerable, you're going to be truthful. And the truth in many instances are hard truths, and people are not going to necessarily like that. We live in a world that actually has been submerged. They have been cultured into falsity, into not hearing truth and accepting pretense. And they guise pretense under this thing called humility, and it's sometimes false humility. Notwithstanding, not everything good for eat, good for talk. In other words, not everything that is out there, not everything that you think on, it means that you need to speak about. That is one of the realities in life. The Bible talked about Mary, and that there are times that she pondered things, you know. So in other words, if let's just say 1,000 things comes across her mind each day, I'm just giving a figure. It doesn't mean that she needs to speak about the 1,000 things. Just some things she keeps in her heart. Have that communion with God. Have that conversation with God. Have the thousand things that come, you have it with God. If that be the case, if you feel the need, you must speak on it. No one is encouraging burying it, but we live in a world that people are broken, and people don't always want to hear the bad, even if it is so about them. So let us say you have a child or a mother or a father, an auntie or an uncle or a cousin or somebody who is doing bad. I don't think every day they would want to hear, you're this and you're that. There must be a day where you say, all right, I'm going to give them a break. Even though they're displaying this today, I see it. I'm not going to speak on it, because we all need that sort of remnants. We all need that break. It's like work. You don't work 365 or 366 days per year, no matter who you are. Even if you work most days per week, you still have to get a day off. If you do that, if you work sick, you're going to, before the 366 or 65 days are here, you're going to get sick. Hopefully you won't die. You won't fall down and die. All right, let me see if I can be fair and balanced as it relates to Kim Burrell. Now, from a singer's perspective, there are some things that people who do not sing may not understand. I see the comments, kind of chiding her a lot, and I can understand why they would be chiding her. There are times when you're singing, and before I get into that, I always hear people say, when you're in the spirit. Listen to me, beautiful people. That's a very nonsensical comment when you said when you're in the spirit, because what it is connoting, it's almost like you're saying, God with you today, then you move out, and you jump in and you jump out, and you jump in, jump out, sort of a situation. All right? And you you have to understand, I don't know if when people feel that when somebody's in the spirit, they have to get in a frenzy, speaking tongues, shaking up themselves and doing somersaults. You may not necessarily even feel, when they say that sometimes you feel like God is not with you, but He's with you. You don't have to always feel that feeling of, I don't know what it is that caused you to get into a frenzy. Once you're a Christian, you should always be in the spirit, so to speak, in terms of a good spirit, as in your attitude, and you must always be in the presence of God. God doesn't come and Him say, all right, now may I walk with you, all right, may I take a walk from you, may I walk with you, may I take a walk from you, unless you're doing things that, the Spirit of God leaves you for good, and He's no longer walking with you, on the basis of the things that you consistently do, or where your heart is not right, and you decide to hold on to a not right heart, you decide to hold on to a not right soul. So stop talking about when you're in the spirit. I expect that each time you're worshiping, and when I say worshiping, you're in that connection with God, that you're in the spirit, even if you're not even praying, even if you're having a conversation with somebody. The Spirit of God, you must be so called in the Spirit, and you don't, and being in the Spirit doesn't mean you have to be and shaking up yourself and behaving. They could be talking normal, like a regular and conversationalist, So stop that nonsensical term when you're in the spirit. As a Christian, you're always in it. The Spirit of God is with you. You don't jump in and jump out, jump in and jump. I say, all right, jump in now, Satan. Are your turn now. Demon, are your turn. All right, all right. You go for about an hour. Jump in now. Come on. So stop that talk. Let's talk realistic now. Okay, now that we have cleared that about, out of the way, from a singer's perspective, we're going to speak on it from just singing. There are times when you're singing. Remember, you're always in the spirit. Okay, good. When you're, when you, and so on. And based on where you're trying to carry the song, when somebody's singing loudly, audibly, and you kind of, it can be distracted, and they say, well, I wish they never joined with me here. You kind of just want to hear you commune. Maybe it's a personal thing too. Sometimes the singer may want people to say, listen, this is where I'm going with the song. Sometimes it's about showboat, as when they say showing off their voices. Yes, we need to admit that. One thing, and I keep it real with people, because they want to show off their skills, their talents and abilities. And nothing is wrong with that, because they want people to be able to call them back again. You have to, that's why the Bible says, study to show yourself approved, and based on how your voice is, the vocal prowess and skills of your voice, when somebody comes in, they disrupt the flow of where you're going with the song. So sometimes for a section of a song or part of a song, if you're doing a solo, that's why it's called solo. You don't really want anybody to sing. You just want them to just sit down, kind of relax in the presence of God and in the fellowship of the people, and just meditate on it. If you're even singing it, make it be very low, not so audible and distracted. It can be distracting as a singer. Many times singers don't want to say it, because of the backlash. As I say, we live in a world where everything is offensive to people. It doesn't matter what. They're like babies. It's like we have to deal with people with kids' gloves. Everything they consider offensive, even if it is an unwise comment. This, some things that I say, people take offense and make it trend. It's unnecessary. Just leave it alone. Just probably say that she shouldn't say that, but just move on. Move on. As quickly as it comes, you quickly move on with it. So I understand from that perspective, where she may have, she said, okay, something like, sometimes it's not just, I might move off into a little preacher, I might move, but you start singing, and also how as I said, the person sings and how she sings, they're not connecting. Because she sings a particular way, she does a lot of the riffs and the runs. The person may not have really been singing, and it can, let me tell you something, when you hear that bad voice, for example, if the person doesn't have a good singing voice, it's a lot to deal with people. No disrespect. It's not, However, if I were in Kim Burrell's position, which I have been, many times, I'd just ignore. I would just ignore it. I wouldn't even say a word to her about that. I would mention that that's why you have the mask and COVID and whatnot. I'd just ignore it. And God, the spirit is subjected to the prophet. When people tell you, say, boy, they went into a trance and they couldn't got nonsense, the spirit is subjected to the prophet. The Holy Spirit is not going to carry you into this sort of a trance like you're demon possessed. For example, let us say you're worshiping God and you feel that, connection. You're getting in, your emotions are now is in tune with it, and your will, and your mind is in will with it, and somebody comes over to you and touches you and say, guess what, my Carlite, so and so, or your child, something. You're going to, okay, you just may take a time. You're in your normal state of mind, and you will come and you probably ask somebody to continue leading for you, and you have to go and quickly attend to the emergency. So you're not in a trance. Somebody is able to speak to you, and you're able to communicate with the person to say, oh my God, this is happening. My Carlite or my child is not well, so I need to go now. So that is why I said, we have to be careful of some of the terminologies that we're using. So for me, Kim could have just not said that, especially if you're known for being offensive to people in a negative way and putting them down. You have to be careful. Don't let your good be evil spoken of. As I said, I don't think many times she may mean it in an evil way, but when you speak truth, it can hurt, and people don't like truth. I'm not going to ever say to her that she must not be authentic and real. And what they tend to do is that, once you become a superstar, you're no longer a Christian, you're a Greece can, you're a this and you're a that. We must stop that, people. Remember that we're all flawed beings, working our way to perfection. Guys, follow me on TikTok, subscribe to my YouTube channel, share this message.